I have a guess for what number one is, but I'm not going to guess. I'll see if I'm right or not. What do you have?
What is your guess?
I don't want to know because
Okay, all right.
if I'm wrong, I'll feel mean. And here we go, another edition of Cash's Top 5. Joining me today, fresh off of her big CMA win for Musical Event of the Year. She has a new song out to country radio now called Next Girl. Love it. And she just released a brand new, incredible, emotional song called Show Me Around. You got to check it out. Carly Pearce, hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very good. I'm excited to do this. So I thank you very much for taking the time to do a top 5 episode with us. And you have selected a very fun topic for us today.
Yes.
Very 2020 approved topic, I would say, since we all kind of seem to have a little more time on our hands. Today we are doing a top 5, our favorite binge-worthy television shows. So
Yeah.
maybe not necessarily our favorite shows of all time, but ones you can just rip through a weekend with.
Yes.
Okay.
I feel very good about this.
Yeah.
I feel like ours are going to be very different.
Well, I was trying to think because I've known you for a while now, so I have a couple of guesses what will be in the top 5, but I'm not exactly sure. But I think it'll be fun. So let's go ahead and get it kicked off. We'll start. Carly, what do you have in the number 5 spot?
I have them written down right here, is why I keep looking down. I feel like a lot of people will probably fight me on this because it's not higher up on my list, but whatever. Friends is my number 5.
Okay, so that's classic. Friends is an all-timer.
I feel like if you want to just do something that is like for sure going to be good, forever going to be a great show, Friends would be it. And there's a lot of seasons.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to go through. And it was one of my honorable mentions, which we can talk about at the end. It didn't quite make my top 5, only because I love the first half of that show so much.
Mm-hmm.
But once Chandler gets with Monica and Joey gets dumber for some reason, it kind of loses me a little bit, but it's still a great show. And it's one of those where you can kind of have it on while you're doing stuff, like you're on your phone or whatever. But like the big moments, you stop and you have to watch Rachel kiss Ross for the first time. You have to stop and watch the big joke from Chandler that's coming. I mean,
Totally. That's
great.
exactly how I feel. It's like a good, like you can watch half of it and still be into it. And yeah. I'm with you.
Super binge worthy. My number 5 for you, I'm curious if it makes your list. I don't think it will because I think it's too soon. And the reason it ranks so low for me is because it's recency bias. I just finished it, but New Girl is my number 5. I am obsessed with that show still. Now, I know we kind of started it at the same time. How far have you gotten?
I can't tell you. That might be on my list. I am in season 5 now.
Oh, okay. So you're a lot further along than you were last time we talked.
I can't stop.
It's so good, right?
I am obsessed. Like, I'm just obsessed. Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. First, Jess kind of freaked me out just as a human. And now I'm like so obsessed with her. Schmidt is the funniest person I've ever encountered in my life in a show. And Nick, I'm just, I don't want to ruin it for people, but I love it.
Yeah, we probably should not do any spoilers, but yeah, there's some moments where it's like, oh my God, like I want that to happen in my life. And like, I'm jealous. Like I have a great group of friends from way back, but the dynamic of Nick, Schmidt, and Winston, and then Schmidt is obviously super funny and probably everyone's favorite. He's my favorite, but Coach is underrated. He comes in for a couple seasons and he kills it. Every line is funny with him.
Yes, because I wondered what happened to him. I was like, wait a minute, he was in the first episode and then he just went away, and now I'm like, oh, he's back. Got it.
It's so good. Well, I bet it's probably, now that I know you've watched more than I thought you have, it's probably going to be on your list, but we'll keep it moving. Number 5 for you is Friends. Top binge-worthy shows for you. What's number 4?
So I highly doubt the next few are going to be on your list. Next would be one that I found during quarantine that I literally watched in 2 days and couldn't stop, which is Love is Blind.
Okay, I am not. I've heard of this show. I have not watched it. You are correct. What is Love Is Blind?
So Love is Blind, they take, I think it was six singles, six males, six females, put them all in rooms where they're going on dates, but they can't see each other. So it's strictly based on your communication and talking through walls. And by the end,
Wow.
you can propose. And if you propose, um, you don't see your person until you're already engaged, and then they like take you on a like a vacation, and then you move in together, and by the end of it you have to decide, I can't remember how long it is, but you have to decide if you want to stay married or get married, I'm sorry. So they like go to the altar and they like decide if they're going to get married. It is intense.
So, are there tons of disasters on this show?
So there are still couples. I won't ruin it for anybody who hasn't watched it. I was very skeptical about this show, but a bunch of fans told me I need to watch it, and I was obsessed. And there are still couples that are like married.
Really?
Yes. Now there is one train wreck, like extreme train wreck, like the most train wreck thing I've ever seen. But apparently it's coming back, I think in January, and I'm like, hurry up. And Nick Lachey hosts, which I was a huge 98 Degrees fan. So.
Oh, well, that's just icing on the cake right there. Come on.
So,
All
anyways,
right.
I love it.
So, now I'm not trying to generalize here, but I feel like that's mainly a show for ladies and couples who watch TV together. Do you recommend that for the single dude that may not?
No, I
No,
don't think they would
no.
do that. No, for all my girls out there, you know.
Okay. Well, my number four for you might be something you would watch because I don't know. I think it's probably similar interests, but not one of my all-time favorite shows, but I can watch 17 of them in a row for sure. Is Beat Bobby Flay.
Yes, I actually didn't even think about cooking shows, which I'm a little upset that I didn't.
Well, I had to be honest with myself because, like, I love the show Mad Men. Huge Mad Men fan. It was on my list, but I had to be honest with myself. Like, dude, Mad Men's like watching a movie. Like every episode is a little mini film.
Right,
Beat Bobby Flay's 22 minutes. They're cooking up with ingredients I've never heard of before. They make it look super easy. I'm like, I could do that, and there's no way you could do that.
right.
And you can watch again 20 of them in a row, super easy. So when we're talking our favorite binge-worthy TV shows, and Bobby Flay is probably my favorite of all the Food Network celebrities. All the Alex Guarnaschelli's and Giada's, and all the people. But yeah, Giada's up there too, but for different reasons. But Bobby
Yeah.
Flay is, yeah, I love that show. So
So
that's my number four for you.
if I was going to do a food show, which I should have, it would have been Man versus Food.
Oh, that was a staple in our college house. My two mates, Sam and John, watched every episode so many times. It was amazing.
Yeah, you would not expect me to be into Man versus Food, but it's like one of my favorites. So there you go. Number three is a tie, and I'll tell you why. Because it's like the same kind of series, but one, if you're not really like super into binge watching things, it just ended. It's very recent, and it's only one season, and it's like blows your mind in a season. And then the other one is two seasons. So Big Little Lies and The Undoing, both Nicole Kidman, both like crazy awesome. So those are two that, like, if you want to do those in like a week, you could do it.
Now, are they okay? So I watched Big Little Lies, and I loved it. But when it was over, I was kind of done. I was like, I don't need the story to keep going for me. I thought they kind of finalized it pretty well. So are
Mhm.
the two shows related, or is it just Nicole Kidman doing another show on
It's
HBO?
Nicole Kidman doing another show, but there are similarities in like the mystery and kind of the suspense of both of them. One is shot in California, one shot in New York. The acting is just really good. I really enjoyed like being on the edge of my seat, although living alone, it's kind of terrifying. I've learned I have to watch those shows like every day now.
Yeah.
But there's just something about them, like a show. Those are the shows that I feel like I'm like, I have to watch another episode or I'm not gonna be able to like deal with this.
That's pretty strong. That's hard to argue with. Well, I'll have to check out The Undoing. My sister's been talking about it. I loved Big Little Lies.
Then
Uh,
you're
does
gonna
the
love this.
does The Undoing have Reese Witherspoon?
It doesn't. It has Hugh Grant and
Oh, that's a terrible trade, but I'll still watch it though. Like if it's good, I'd rather have Reese than Hugh. I'm being honest, but
it does have Nicole, and she's like, she's just so pretty. So
she's amazing.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, my number 3 for you is a show that I kind of think is polarizing because I know a lot of people love it, but I know some people are like, I don't get it. They don't like when the characters talk directly to camera. But number 3 for you is Parks and Recreation.
I have never seen that, although I have been told by some of my band that I need to watch it.
Yeah, I don't know if it was Mikey or one of the other guys, but they are correct 100%. It's so funny. And the reason I didn't put The Office on my list because although it's a great show and I love it, it's very easily ignored by me because so much of the writing is kind of heady and kind of it's clever, whereas
Yes.
Parks and Rec is gut punch funny. Like it's just genuinely make you laugh out loud. Great characters. It's set in rural Indiana, so there's come on, we're both from the Midwest, so there's a lot of love there.
All right.
But highly recommend you get into Parks and Rec. I'll watch The Undoing. You do Parks and Rec, and then we'll report.
All right.
Because it's
all right.
so
I think
good.
I need to. You are on a list of people that told me I need to watch that. So all right.
All right. Okay, so we've got Friends, Love is Blind, and then the duo, which normally I don't allow, but it's you. Big Little Lies / Undoing at number 3. What do you have at number 2?
New Girl.
Really that high?
Yes. I think it's because it's like my current thing that I love so much, like 22 minutes, you watch it, it's funny. And I feel like I haven't gone on to another series because I love it so much. Like I haven't watched 2 things at the same time.
Do you ever do that? Or with this one, you just can't do it?
No, I do. I feel like there's times where I'm watching a few different things. Like, I mean, I guess I was watching The Undoing and New Girl. Like I would watch The Undoing and it was so stressful that I'd have to turn on New Girl so I could go to sleep.
Yeah.
I love New Girl. I just do. Honestly, I wish that I could be Jess and like live with 3 dudes that were awesome. And yeah.
Well, you kind of do when you're on tour. You
That's
are
true.
New Girl.
Definitely not going to fall in love with one of them, but
no, sorry, I didn't mean to put that out there. It was more.
But it's true. I guess I do live with men, like grown men. We all share a bathroom.
And at the beginning of the show, when there's no Nick and Jess stuff, it's platonic and just everybody's rooting for each other. It's kind of a brother-sister thing. That's what you have, yeah.
It's totally what I have. Wow.
If you start rocking the glasses and the bangs, we'll know.
That's me. That's my new alter ego.
I love it. Well, my number 2 for you is very different from New Girl. A little darker, but I can't deny it. I've got Breaking Bad at number 2.
Also never seen that, although when it's shot in Arizona, or no, Albuquerque, right?
Yeah, New Mexico, yep.
So my band, I had an event and they took the van and went to see the house because they were like, oh my God, we have to see the house.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I want to go see because all the little landmarks are around there, the chicken restaurant, the house. And well, I definitely recommend Parks and Recreation first. It's more like Breaking Bad you should watch during the day, like you do with The Undoing, and then Parks and Rec can be your palate cleanser when you go to bed. Because Breaking Bad is dark, but it's so good. The writing, it's also kind of like Mad Men, where you feel like each episode is a little mini movie.
Okay.
But the reason it's so binge-worthy for me is it's one of those shows where it really cranks up the last 3 to 5 minutes. You're like, I have to know what happens next. Oh my God, how is he going to get out of this? It's so good.
Yes. Okay. All right. I need to put it on my list. All right.
Okay. So we have reached the number 1 spot. To remind everyone, number 5, these are top 5 binge-worthy shows of all time. For Carly Pearce, Friends, Love is Blind, Big Little Lies / Undoing. We have New Girl at number 2, and I have a guess for what number 1 is, but I'm not going to guess. I'll see if I'm right or not. What do you have?
What is your guess?
I don't want to know because
Okay, all right.
if I'm wrong, I'll feel mean.
Um, Sex in the City is my number one.
No, I was wrong, but that's a great pick. That makes so much sense. Yes.
What was your pick?
Promise not to be mad at me.
Yeah.
The Bachelor or The Bachelorette.
So, okay. But see, I'm more of a weekly person.
Oh, yeah. So that's
That's
more serial, not binging through. That makes sense. Yeah.
totally
So,
not
yeah.
it. So, Sex in the City forever will be my favorite show. It never gets old. I've seen every episode. I seriously, I don't even know how many times I've seen it. But they are just, and I think the older I get, the better it gets. I just like understand it on so many different levels, and I just love it.
That makes sense because, every so often, they say that every 7 years is a whole new you, that whole thing.
Yes.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily 7 years. I think things happen in life that change who you are, change your perspective. And so you may relate to season one Carrie, whereas when you start going through some stuff later in life, you're like, season five Carrie nailed it. I'm feeling the exact same way.
So true. Carrie and I can relate on so many levels. I love them. Yeah, that's my number one all time.
Okay, well, that's such a strong list. I was correct on a couple, but there was one that I was surprised by. But my number one for you, to remind everybody, I have New Girl, I have Beat Bobby Flay, number three, Parks and Rec, number two, Breaking Bad. My number one binge-worthy TV show for you is House. I can't help it. It's
Yeah.
not only it's my all-time favorite show ever, my favorite TV character in Dr. House ever, and it's super bingeable too. You can just rattle off episodes when you've got a Sunday with nothing to do.
You know what's so weird? In high school, I was super into House, like right when it first started.
Mhm.
I watched it every week with my parents. I literally couldn't tell you one thing about it now. So maybe I need to like revisit it. But I remember watching House all the time. And Grey's Anatomy. Couldn't tell you anything about that one either. So I need to go back and revisit.
I cannot rewatch Grey's Anatomy because certain seasons remind me of certain ex-girlfriends. Like when I was dating this one, that was season 3 through 4, and this other one that was kind of later on. Like, I don't want to revisit that. So, and it was a show that I watched because I was with a lady. It wasn't
Oh,
something I would have
yeah.
watched on my own,
Bye.
but House is on Amazon Prime. So now that your list of shows to
Yeah.
watch grows, it's on there though. So I would check it back out because it's so good.
All right. And clearly I didn't put my phone on silent. That's sorry, everyone.
Quite all
Um,
right.
yeah, I have a list now and I have all the time in the world. So I'll be putting those to good use.
Did you have any honorable mentions that didn't quite make the list for you?
Man versus Food, I should have put that on there. I also love, is her name Ina Barefoot Contessa, Ina Garden or Garten?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I love her. I could literally sit and watch that stuff like all day. I mean, you're gonna puke at this, but like Laguna Beach and the hills and the OC, like that era of stuff, I really get into.
It wasn't for me, but I will not judge. That was our high school, my middle school and high school years. That was prime. Like Friday Night Lights is another
Yes,
one. That was high school me.
yeah,
Loved that show.
yeah. Like I've seen some of the cast of those shows out in Nashville because some of them live here, and I just like freak out. So I loved them.
Well, Carly, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it. I know you're kind of working on some new music. You've released a couple new songs. What do you have planned for the holidays, and what can we expect from you in the new year?
I am spending Christmas with my parents. They live down in Alabama near the beach. So I'll be there. It's June's first Christmas, so it's going to be a big deal.
Very special. Yeah.
And then I'm spending New Year's with one of my girlfriends, which is super fun and very low key. Clearly, we're in a pandemic.
Yeah.
And I am really excited. I will be sharing a lot more new stuff in the first part of the new year, like the very first part of the new year.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait. I'm going home to Indy for a little bit, so I'll wave at you as we pass each other on 65.
Yay!
Thank you so much for taking the time. You're always one of my absolute favorite people. So nice. And thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon. All right.
Sounds good. Thank you.